Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world in the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world in the 7 seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to lose you. Some of them want you to die. Some of them want you to lose you. Some of them want to be abused.
Boom.
Boom. It seems like it
Hello.
just gets longer and longer.
It does. It does.
That's what she said.
Hello, welcome to Packman Paranormal Live. I'm Ernie Pack.
Denise Pack. I'm looking at our friends over
You're
here.
over here waving to people.
we've
You're
got
supposed to be saying who you
Damien and Eric in here. I'm doing the important
are. Of
stuff.
course they're in here.
They're always here. We love Damien and Eric.
We do. So anyway, we are Packman Paranormal. And tonight we've got a good friend of ours on. We have worked with him several times. I met him a few years ago when he was with Ghost Hunters and they came to film at Waverly Hills, and him and quite a few folks from there been really good friends with ever since.
And they met you and they kept coming back.
Yeah, so they're obviously very forgiving people, and
Very sick in the head.
there's something wrong with all of them.
Hey,
But
Leanne.
anyway, no, this guy is, in my opinion, he's one of the most respected guys in the paranormal. I know a lot of folks say that because of his approach. He's very scientific minded. He's no nonsense when it comes to the paranormal. He's not a paranormal showman. You don't see him doing a lot of events. You don't see him at a lot of cons. While a lot of people are doing all of that stuff,
He's
Brandon
working.
Alvis
He's
is
working.
either filming or editing or planning his next project. So, I mean, if you don't respect Brandon Alvis, then you don't.
Why don't you
understand
get
the
Brandon
paranormal.
Alvis up on the screen? Because
Well,
he's sitting backstage waiting for you to get done talking.
He wants me to say nice things about him. Let's get Brandon on.
Hey guys,
Brother, how are you?
what's up? I came prepared, by the way. Bam!
Ah, look at that. Look at that.
Packman Paranormal. Still
Nice
got
shirt,
it.
brother. Nice shirt.
Leanne says she agrees. Brandon Alvis is one of the best.
Yeah,
That's
next to
very
me.
nice.
Next to me. No, no, Brandon, you guys have been for the past couple of years, you moved to Kentucky, and you
It
guys.
wasn't to be closer to you.
It was. It
It
was.
wasn't.
It was. It really was.
His ego, Brandon, his ego. That's what he tells everybody. You know, Brandon lives here now. Hey, he's like my neighbor.
No, don't say that.
Pretty close, you know,
She's
pretty close.
Yeah, we're just 25, 30 minutes away. But anyway, gosh, you moved to Kentucky. You and Kevin Oddie, right there.
I always
real
got to
close
say it. Audie the body.
Audie
You
the
can never
body.
say Audie without saying Audie the body.
That's right.
That's true. You guys started putting together the idea for Haunted Discoveries, and you have hit, golly, I don't know how many locations you've been to actually for filming in the
Why
4
don't
seasons.
you let him talk and he will answer those questions?
Okay, go ahead.
Close to 42 locations, really. Which is
How
cool.
many?
About 42,
Nice.
which is
Nice.
crazy. A couple in Tennessee as well. Not too many in Tennessee, but a majority have obviously been in Kentucky. And the whole thing started as a hunt for a paranormal research facility, and it's something I've always wanted to do with APRA was try and find a place. I mean, you guys live in a haunted location. You know what it's like. You've
Yeah.
immersed yourself in it. And there's no better way to really take documenting the paranormal to another level than to literally immerse yourself in it, right?
All
So that's
day,
what it
every day.
says. Exactly. Yeah. I know. And I've been lucky enough to experience what you guys have going on there, and it's a very special, unique place. But I came out here just trying to look at different places, talk to people such as yourselves, and see what it's like to live and operate out of a haunted building day in and day out. And then you add this whole Kentucky anomaly on top of it, and it's been one of the coolest long-form experiments and long-form investigations we've ever done. And Kentucky's a special place, man. There's nothing like it in the entire United States. It's very unique.
Yeah. Do you want to explain in layman's terms the Kentucky anomaly to folks who may not be familiar with that?
Absolutely. The Kentucky anomaly is a NASA verified and NASA studied geomagnetic and gravitational anomaly that's taking place in certain parts of Kentucky. It bleeds into Tennessee as well. But after this last season we just shot, we realized it bleeds into a larger portion of Kentucky than we realized. And how that relates to paranormal phenomena, that's what we're trying to figure out. But if you were to take that map and those satellite images of all this crazy stuff happening with the geomagnetic anomaly and the gravitational anomaly, and then you take sightings of every type of high strangeness you can imagine, it comes up. And as you guys well know, with the cave systems and the calcite and the quartz and the limestone, I mean, there's every element you can imagine in the state of Kentucky. And you got everything from Bigfoot to Mothman, whatever. I mean, you name it, it's here. So it all lines up,
Yeah, it's being from here, I just always knew that we had a lot of strange stuff going on here. I didn't know anything about the Kentucky anomaly until I first heard it mentioned in relation to your show. And then I started researching it a bit myself, and I'm like, wow, there's a reason why I'm so weird or have all these experiences or whatever, maybe.
I didn't say anything. Was that my
Just-
cue? Was that my-
But no,
There's
it's
Stacy, there's Todd.
I mean, you wrote a book called The Elements of a Haunting, and it talks a little bit about this kind of stuff. And we've got them all right here. I mean, actually right here in this town, but I mean, right here in Kentucky in specific, I mean, it's all here.
Yeah, no, I mean, in a huge way. And I mean, it's unlike any other place in the country. Really, it's got everything, especially if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, do these materials and do these strange anomalies amplify what we perceive to be paranormal phenomena? And when I say paranormal phenomena, I'm not just talking ghosts and haunting. I'm talking every phenomena you can imagine. And for me, like, obviously I've always been, a skeptic in the sense of not a non-believer, but I want to find data and proof that something exists, right? And now more so than ever, I don't even pretend to know what the hell is going on anymore. Like I can't. I mean, I put myself in too many situations and listened to too many people that have had these experiences where I've gone to these exact spots and had data collected and experiences as well that correlate perfectly with it. So now more so than ever, I'm open-minded in a way I never thought I would be, which is great.
Yeah. It's I mean, there's some things that we can't really talk about that I am so excited to be able to talk about eventually in relation to this, that it's just something that we talk about all the time. I mean, the more we are out involved with this field and the more we get out and experience things, the more questions we have, the more doors that seem to come open, as far as other avenues, how these connections might, how these experiences might be connected and what might cause them. And I know you've
well, I want to take this minute to say, kind of segueing into that, we do have so many crazy stories that even when you sat down to interview us for our episode on our house, and we started talking and telling you this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, we could have continued to talk for another hour. And I know for people looking at us that aren't here in our house all the time, it's like, these people are nuts. But when we found out that you might have actually been able to verify
Document
some of our stuff, it made us feel better. There's some validation.
You guys definitely have a special and unique place there and amazing history, and obviously with the ghost and haunting side of things and the investigations that we conduct with APRA, history is key and history is first and foremost. And I think some of that history is still alive and well in your guys' house. And it's special. I mean, you're right there on the river, and you guys, I mean, you have it all. That town in West Point has everything. So you guys live in a very unique and special environment, I think, is a breeding ground for strange things to happen, for sure.
Well, we also welcome them, and you saw when you were here, they have their own spaces. They're free to exist here, and we allow them to.
Yeah.
Damien's got a good question. He says, do you experience more or less vortex portals here as compared to other states?
I'm not really sure about portals per se. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but this place has a special element to it that we're not quite sure what it is. I mean, obviously, academic investigations and studies have been done. I mean, you have NASA that has studied the area as well. I think that those scientific discoveries and those scientific observations go hand in hand with the strange things happening in the state. And we're trying our best to figure it out. And recently we were out back in Perryville, Kentucky, which, as you guys well know, is, what the site of one of the bloodiest single-day battles, not only in Kentucky, but the Civil War as well. And we were very lucky to get into a cave system and get pretty deep under earth with a geologist out of Western Kentucky State University. And the guy has a PhD. The guy came out and was willing to be open-minded enough to go into this cave with us and look at the variables of the Kentucky anomaly in a place that's literally soaked in blood from not only being settled in the late 1700s, but also the Battle of Perryville itself. So that's what we're trying to do, is go to these places that we know has strange activity from a scientific sense. Mm-hmm. Then you have eyewitnesses saying there's things happening from a ghostly sense. And we're trying to bring in people from various technical industries that can help us try and marry those two ideas together to see what the hell's going on. And we've had some very unique situations and some amazing data collected in that process.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched. I've got to admit, I haven't watched every episode that's been released so far, but I'm trying to get all caught up and watch them all. And one thing, I think I actually might have talked to you about it before, how it seems like it seems like some of these experiences or whatever, as the seasons go along, you can kind of connect some dots with the types of activity and the reasons behind why a place might have a haunting or whatever. And it all seems to be kind of building, and the show is evolving as it goes through the seasons and through the episodes because of you're able to connect these dots, and that was your goal from the beginning. So
Read Damien's question. Can you see it?
I'm looking here. Do you think the PFAS ground saturation has increased activity from a chemical bond?
That's possible. That's possible. Actually, when we went and tested the cave, Dr. Ghani, who was the professor from Western Kentucky State University, actually did some chemical tests on the dopings. I'll leave the sciencey stuff up to him because he's the guy with the doctorate. And that episode will be airing next year. But there's something to it for sure. And I mean, it's just, we keep saying this, but there's all these elements in Kentucky. It's a unique place. I mean, even with the cave system, like we talked about earlier, we're talking about the largest cave system in the world here in Kentucky. And then you have the Appalachian Mountains, which we were out there not too long ago in Harlan, and we brought in a geophysicist with us, and she literally stood us there and made us look out at this beautiful mountain range. You guys have been out there. Eastern Kentucky is absolutely beautiful. And you're looking at it, and she goes, what you're looking at is so ancient that these are the bones of mountains. And that right there I can't explain the feeling that I experienced in that moment. You're looking at this serene area, wildlife, and just it's beauty out there. And then when you hear that what you're looking at are not even really mountains anymore, that they're fossils of mountains, is one of the mind-blowing things you can ever imagine. And it really takes you and puts you in a situation where you understand that we're just a speck in everything.
Yep.
And it was just
in perspective a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. And just to know that you're in an area that has all this rich history, not only from Americana, but then you think about, I mean, indigenous people that are here before, everything that's happened. And then you think about all the sightings that have happened out there that, aren't just ghosts and hauntings, but are cryptids and all these other things. And then you don't know what you're going to get into when you're in a place that the mountains are so old that they're fossils. Who the hell knows what's out there, right?
Well,
Exactly.
Brandon, I was born and raised in the hollers of West Virginia. My family goes back to Appalachian witches. So I've seen a lot of stuff that isn't
I
supposed
bet.
to exist.
I mean, out in those hollers like that, I mean, it's people, if they've never been there, I don't think they'll ever understand it, right? It's such a unique place, and it's so special that if anyone watching this that hasn't been out into West Virginia or Eastern Kentucky and the coal fields out there, you got to go. You got to go. It's just it's going to put this country and the American way into a perspective I think people don't quite understand.
I
It's
gotta
such
do
a
this for Todd. I gotta give Todd Eskew a little something here. Can you see
Okay.
that? All right.
But no, I mean, getting back to the show, I mean, you have kind of, like you say, I mean, you started out in old Louisville, and most of the places that you guys have filmed and investigated for the show are not the places. They're not the paranormal tourist attractions, if you will, that are open every night for paranormal
That's
investigation.
why it's
and this
Haunted
and that.
Discoveries. That explains the name.
That's not what the name is about.
It is. This
Anyway.
It is.
Anyway, I mean, but you have found and documented and put out with the show for everyone to see amazing evidence.
It's very well done.
Yeah,
Very
of
well
hauntings at places that people probably never heard of, never would have thought were haunted, or what, I mean, just places you might drive by as you're going out through the country toward the mountains or
I
whatever.
think another thing that makes it pretty awesome too is not all of these are open for paranormal investigations. It's not oversaturated.
Yeah.
There's me. Hi,
Hello,
Danny.
Danny.
So, I mean, people are going to see these on the shows and be like, how do I get in there to investigate? You don't.
Yeah.
You just
It's
got
funny.
to watch the show and enjoy it.
Yeah, we've had a unique variety for sure. And again, we've been very lucky to be allowed into some of these locations. And then, like you said, starting in Old Louisville, which many consider the most haunted neighborhood in the country, per square mile. And then it just evolved from there. And we got into all these amazing locations. And lesser known pieces of history that were huge parts of the founding of this country, or huge parts of what we know as America today. And I think a lot of that rich history plays into the ghosts and hauntings aspect. And one of the biggest things we've noticed in all this is the fact that deep emotional connection and familial bonds seem to be the heart of many hauntings in places.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been so lucky to get into locations that have allowed us in, like Whitehall, for instance, you know, in Richmond, Kentucky out there. That's operated and owned by the University of Kentucky. And that's the home of one of the most underrated significant figures in American history, Cassius Clay, which I'm sure everyone watching this knows Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? He was named after Cassius Clay. His actual name, Cassius Clay, was named after Cassius Marcellus Clay, also known as the Lion of Whitehall, who was such a crazy political figure in the time pre-Civil War. And once, you know, Lincoln got elected, he wanted Cassius out of his hair, so he shipped his ass over to Russia and stay out of here while the country's kicking off, because they know he would cause trouble. This is a guy that would go to political rallies and knife people. Yeah. You know what I mean? This guy was a staunch abolitionist and a man that was unlike anything. And to be able to get access to his home, which was his familial home, that was, you know, built by his father, Green Clay, and to be in that house and to know that these very credible people that work for the University of Kentucky are saying that without a shadow of a doubt in their mind, they believe Cassius is in that house, was just, that's the stuff I love, is the fact that it's not, like you said, it's not a para-tourist destination at all. And you have very credible people that don't talk about ghosts. They're like, oh no, yeah, he's here. We've seen him. And you get in there, it's amazing.
He asked a good question, and that would kind of lead to the next thing for you to talk a little bit about anybody that hasn't seen the show, what kind of equipment you use, because he's saying or asking, does equipment go faulty a lot or not in a not very good area? So you're not doing everything with the typical run-of-the-mill ghost hunting equipment.
Yeah, no, we typically stay away from anything built for the paranormal, garage tech, anything like that. We like to use and adapt technology from other technical industries. We've been very lucky to have the guidance of Dr. Harry Clore. You guys know Harry, you've met him, spent time with him.
We were honored to have him with us during the eclipse. That was the biggest honor that any paranormal investigator anywhere could have asked for.
Yeah, you guys were with a legitimate rocket scientist. It's pretty cool, right?
A modern day Einstein here at Fort Duffield doing a groundbreaking experiment.
And so, you know, we like to use sensors and technology from other industries that give us quantifiable data, information that not only can we log and analyze, but have analyzed by people like Dr. Clore and other professionals from technical industries, that if this phenomena is truly happening, we should be able to document it on a scientific instrument, and we should be able to analyze that data. And at the end of the day, in the overall experimentation and data collection of all this, all that information we are compiling, and we are putting that data into a data set that, in hopes of one day using emerging technology like AI, where we can feed an AI system all this information that could spit out Perryville, Kentucky, August 11th at 7:45 p.m. We predict there's going to be an event. And just like a storm chaser, just like the National Weather Service, we're hoping one day we can gather enough environmental data, environmental conditions to predict when something we can't explain is going to happen. And I think we're getting very close to that, by the way. We're very close to that.
And then you could create a little app. There's a whole world. You could create an app, and you could send us a severe thunder silence warning or something like that.
Seriously though, no joke. And that's the beauty of it all. And some people might be like, oh, that's not achievable. It is 100% achievable.
Yeah.
Because
like I say, the show so far, you've been able to connect a lot of dots and make these, you know, you're getting there. That's what's fascinating to me, to watch the show as it goes on.
I think it's important that we address this comment. Beth Deering says, Brandon is the true definition of the word integrity. I have such respect for him and his work and research. I'm humbled to know him. Thank you for what you do.
And that's very nice, Beth. That's awesome.
For all of us.
A lot of us.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. I
the tide because he's rude.
Well, I mean, for me, guys, you know, I I feel like a lot of times, and I don't want to go into this woe unto me bullshit or anything like that, but there was a lot of times, when I did Ghost Hunters, which is, I mean, the biggest stage you can do it at, and it was just, how it all goes politically within the paranormal, and it's kind of tough sometimes that you get dropped into a scenario like that, and it got tough there for me for a while. But the root cause and the root reason behind why I do all this is because of the loss of my brothers. I had a brother pass away when I was 8 years old. He was 24 in 95, and then I had a brother at the age of 32. I was 17 who committed suicide, and that for me is why I do this. And sometimes it's really easy to lose sight of that and lose sight of why I'm involved in all this. And I think coming here to Kentucky has kind of settled me into remembering why I'm here and why I'm doing this. So I'm feeling more energized. I'm feeling more enthusiastic about it than I have in a long time, which has been really cool. And it's been a hell of an experience being out here.
April Bussett's in the house. She says, Brandon.
Hello, April.
She's one of your biggest fans. No, I mean, I've talked about this before. One of the things, having worked with Brandon a few times, one of the coolest things to me to experience when I'm on a paranormal investigation is to see Brandon Alvis get giddy and excited.
Yeah.
And I've seen that a few times up close and personal, and it's really cool to see, because I know the guy's he's typically very stoic, very analytical and scientific minded and serious. But when he's like, "What the F was that?" or something.
Which I had that at your guys' place, by the way.
Which is awesome. Actually, when we were being interviewed, it happened a couple of times.
It did. Yeah. I mean, the crew experienced it, which is, that to me is always the most, it's the funnest part of the experience, right? Because we have a film crew there that's not, these people are not involved in the paranormal at all, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that every person that we've had involved in the 4 seasons of doing this show has had an experience, and they come in not expecting that. And they're just doing their job. You know what I mean? And as you guys well know, you've been around it. It's a big job. Like, these guys are working their ass off. And at your guys' place, for instance, one of our assistant camera operators was sitting there, and there was an audible voice that came through, and 7 or 8 people had experienced it. And it's great, man. It's I do stuff like that.
Ditto house for us.
It's another day at the haunted mansion, But it's cool.
And look at all these comments later, because I can't address every one of them. I don't want anybody to think I'm ignoring them over here, but you are getting sung praise after praise after praise. So, all right, but I didn't want to cut you off there. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure he knew I we're over here.
No, I mean, you guys, like I say, you touched on it, actually. You've got a spin-off series now called, what is
Family
it?
Spirits.
Family Spirits.
Yeah.
You didn't do your homework.
I did my homework. I just went brain dead because I was on a roll, and then you interrupted him, and I lost my.
Don't get jealous, Ernie.
No, I'm not. But no, the Family Spirits spinoff of Haunted Discoveries. You talked about how a lot of these things have these familial ties and everything, and that's what that series is all about. And I don't know. I haven't been able to see any of the episodes of it yet, but Craig Owens, I know, is very excited about it, and he talked a lot about it when we had him on the show a month or so ago.
Craig talked a lot about a lot of things. I had to get the hook and pull.
Hello, Richie B. Get out there and conquer the world, brother. Glad you popped in. But talk a little bit about that, the Family Spirits series that you're.
Yeah, that's a very special one to me, because it's a very bold idea. Because I mean, again, with the paranormal stuff, as you know, I've known you guys for many years. You guys have been doing this a long time. There's a lot of kind of factions out there, and there's a lot of, and I hate to use this, and I'm not knocking anyone, but there's a lot of closed-minded ideas as far as how things work or how people should believe, things like that. But to me, the root of a lot of this is with the ghosts and haunting stuff particularly is that, are the people haunted, right? Is it a location per se, which a lot of times it could be, but is
Right.
it the person? And we started to notice over my years of research that a lot of people would come up to me and talk about paranormal experiences they would have with deceased loved ones, where they would have grandma come back to visit, or Uncle Roger or dad, whatever it may be, would be coming back to them after their death. And they would have these really sometimes scary, but 90% of the time heartwarming encounters with people that were close to them that passed away. So to me, I wanted to figure out how does that happen, right? What is the connection here? Because I mean, almost anyone you know, even people that don't believe in ghosts, have a story like that more times than not. And so to me, I'm like, how does genealogy play into this? How does DNA play into this? Is there some kind of genetic ghost code to our familial ties?
Is there a
And that's,
chromosome out there somewhere?
yeah. And so to me, family spirits is about these people that have had these experiences with deceased loved ones and how that pertains to their family lineage, their family heritage, and the genealogical aspect of it. And we've had people come in and tell these very incredible stories. And then at the end of it, they sit down with Craig Owens, and Craig Owens reveals historical and genealogical information about their past. They may not know that a lot of times paints the picture of why they're having these experiences. So it's a very cool, unique show. It's very heartwarming. It's a tearjerker a lot of the times because it's so emotional. It's so personal. And it's really studying the idea, is it the person that's haunted? You know, is it connected to the emotional familial bond? And we're about to do more of that here pretty soon. And we're taking that research and step even further, which I can't talk too much about now, but it's a very bold idea. It's very splashy in that sense, but I think it's a necessary step in this type of research that needs to happen to further understand it's not just about spooky places. It's about the people. It's about their emotional story. It's about who they are, where they came from, and how that pertains to who they are as a person in this everyday moment.
Yeah. It's I mean, like Fleetwood Paranormal says, this sounds fascinating. I am fascinated by those aspects of everything. You know, we talk a lot, and I think I've talked to you in the past about it. I think a lot of times, you know, you'll have someone that's like they never have a paranormal experience. They might even be the resident skeptic on a paranormal team that goes, and everybody else on the team has these amazing experiences and whatever. And
late to the party.
he's always late to the party. But then you've always got that one person out there that's like, no, I've never had nothing happen. I've been in Waverly Hills 1,000 times and never seen nothing, or whatever, you know, wherever. But I think a lot of it is your mental approach and that openness to having an experience that, I don't know, that will help you to have an experience.
I think there's Beth, who's also late to the party. Hey, Beth.
Yes.
I think a lot of times too, these people that are saying they haven't had an experience goes back to the things that we've spoken about before. You've got, which I know you all are a lot of evidence-based, use the equipment, but you've got some people that are so hell-bent on just focusing on that equipment that they're missing all the stuff going on around them. There could be stuff all over the place, and they're looking in one little viewfinder, and we've seen it at Waverly a lot. They never look up from that piece of equipment.
Yeah, they're going down the hall with their SLS camera or whatever, and they're focused on the screen. And, you know, it's like, did you see the little girl standing in that doorway?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I didn't pick it up. I didn't pick it. Your eyes would have if you'd have had your head up. You know?
Right. No, there's a fine line between experience and data collection. And you have to immerse yourself in it to really fully collect data, right? You can't be the technology, right? You can't immerse yourself so much into the technology that you're going to miss everything that's happening around you. And that's why for us with APRA, it's important to observe that environment for the entirety of the investigation, where it starts from the moment you walk in and you just let it run and you forget about it, right? You experience the place at that point. You immerse yourself into the history of it and the possible experiences. So I'm right there with you guys. You don't want to become an arm of your technology, right? The technology needs to work for you. You don't need to work for it, right?
exactly.
And that kind of hits Rob's comment is the paranormal finds you, not the other way around. You'll go looking for it finds you, which I think that's how it works for us a lot of times, because we end up having experiences when we are nowhere.
When we're least expecting.
We're not even anywhere it's supposed to have anything.
Yeah.
I just had that happen recently. You guys know about that. God, I can't stop thinking about it, guys. I can't, man. Like it's that.
I just sat down with you over it.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is behind me here on my wall, I have like these. I have a bunch of Kentucky stuff now. Like I got like this like haunted map of Kentucky, and I also have one called Beasts of the Bluegrass, and I got it at the International Paranormal Research Museum down in Somerset. And I bought the Beast of the Bluegrass when I was like, oh, this is spoopy. This is cool. You know, I'm like not taking it serious like an idiot. And, and then I get down into Harlan, Kentucky, and now I can't stop staring at that damn map. I'm like staring at it like,
I gotta go check this out. I gotta check that out.
I'm like, this is real stuff. You know what I mean? And I talked to you guys about it a little bit. I can't get into too much detail, but you know, Dr. Clore was there, obviously. And Dr. Clore grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon in the woods, right? And this guy he grew up out in the cabin. He knows all about wildlife and stuff. And he walked in and was like, did you guys hear that sound? And you know, Dr. Clore, the guy he does not act like that.
No.
And he straight up goes, that sounded like an ape. That's as much as I'll say, but that right there was just a wild experience. So for me, going back to all this is like, at this point in time, I am more open-minded about everything than I've ever been in a really cool way. I think that's what's kind of energized me in a sense too, where I'm just like, there's so much wonderment now. I feel like I'm back to 2006 when I started doing this, and I feel like, oh man, like the possibilities are endless. You know, it's been really cool.
Yeah.
Rob stayed here, 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, right here.
He's saying the
room.
Ditto House wouldn't leave him alone. He had some experiences he could not explain while he was here.
Yeah. I told you a little bit about that the other day. But no, with me, well, okay, Packman Paranormal came into existence because Denise and I, who were just Denise Brazel at the time and Ernie Pack, two people who were interested in finding out the story of the nurse from room 502 at Waverly Hills, were up on top of Mitchell Hill in the Jefferson Memorial Forest here. And
Rob said that sound they heard was probably a Kentucky mosquito. He was eat up when he left here. We told you to use bug spray.
But no, we were just looking for information on Sarah. And we had, I'll just cut to the chase. We had a Bigfoot find us. And we were not Bigfoot people. We were not Bigfoot believers.
I mean, I didn't disbelieve. I just had never given it much
that
thought.
Was not our
thing.
We were paranormal people. You know, we were spirit hunters.
I had never researched it. I didn't know what the characteristics were, what to expect, what to look for.
And since that encounter, though, and working with Greg Yost, Squatchman a lot, and learning more and more about that phenomena, we have started to experience things that I thought was just, you know, fairy tales. Literally fairy tales.
Yeah.
We've experienced goblins. You know, you hear about the Kentucky Goblin. It's probably on your map back there.
Did I send you a picture of that, Brandon? Did we tell you that story? Did I send you a picture of our Kentucky Goblin?
Yeah, you did. That was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we've experienced so many things that are just not supposed to exist. And you know, so anymore, I'm kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's like I don't know what's not real anymore, because everything that I thought was not real, I've experienced.
Well, we said it just the other day on the show. We said a leprechaun could walk in this door right now, and we'd probably just turn around and look at it and be like, well, that just happened.
There's a leprechaun. Look at that.
Well, in Harlan, Kentucky, there's leprechaun sightings. And when I first heard that, I was like, bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I'm not throwing anything off the table anymore, man. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything, dude. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just a small speck in this universe, and I am not gonna be arrogant and say that I know anything. So it's crazy the type of stuff that's going on. We go out to a location, look for a woman in white, and nothing I ever would imagine happened. So it's
Right.
crazy. Like they say, be careful what you go out looking for sometimes, I guess, right? And you never know what you get yourself into.
Yeah.
And Rob's saying that when he was here, he had a spiritual experience at Fort Duffield with me and Ernie and Todd and Leanne and Greg Yost, Squash Man.
And the whole crew. Crystal was there.
Yeah, Crystal, a literal spiritual. And we tell people all the time, look, weird stuff happens when you go places with us. I don't know if we just bring the vibe or we bring the crazy. I'm not real
sure. You guys bring the weird, man. You know, it's good. That's why I like you guys. That's why I want to hang out with you all the time. You just bring the weird.
I guess so. But no, it's, I don't know. We talked before about how, it seems to be that there's a connection between the spirit activity, the cryptid activity, the UFO activity even.
Mm-hmm.
And, you talked about the Kentucky anomaly having all of that. And I think that pretty much anywhere where you have a lot of activity, be it in the Northeast, out West, whatever, I don't know if they have those same geomagnetic anomalies going on in all of those places, but you hear about the same kind of thing. I mean, you can go down and read through Bigfoot sightings from all over the country, and I'll bet you that 40 or 45% of them nationwide, you'll hear the person that encountered this mention a cemetery, or seeing strange lights in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It all seems to happen at once, if that makes any sense.
Almost every time we've had a Bigfoot sighting, there's been a fairy nearby. And the first few times we saw those little lights, Ernie was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's a fairy." He's like, "It's a what?" I'm like, "It's a fairy." He was like, "Yeah, sure it is." Well, he's seen enough of them now to know.
We had that happen. I talked to you guys about this. We had a long conversation about it, but I'm like sitting there, I'm like, are these fireflies? Like, what the hell's going on? And we were recording on the EMCCD camera, and they don't register fireflies like that. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see little glimmers and stuff, and you'll know it's a firefly, but this was unique, and things went wild. You know what I mean? And it was so cool. And, again, like the episode that just aired yesterday, the season finale of season 2, was a farmhouse in Walton, Kentucky. Yeah. And that place has a crazy crossover story about ufology and ghosts, where we actually brought in UFO experiencers into the building that they firmly believe that their UFO experiences, one of which was a UFO abductee who was studied by MUFON for a number of years. Barry, you guys know Bear. And Bear was in that building with this man, and he was brutally attacked by something in that house. And he very much believes it was associated with his abduction. And that, to us, never heard anything like that, right? But I mean, us being the investigators we are, we have to not rule that out as a possibility, right? And so we go in and we start to ask these questions pertaining to this UFO experiencer stuff, and bringing in David and Debbie, who both had experiences there. And we were getting atmospheric changes anytime we would talk about specifically gray aliens. Which is just, it's crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you were to tell me that and us not actually have data, like an actual spreadsheet of that happening, it would sound crazy, but it happens. So it's wild stuff. And that's the type of research we're trying to do. And we're trying to find answers and really not have a confirmation bias or going in with a preconceived notion of what can happen. And that's when we collect some of our best stuff. And I think that it's an amazing process. And I think that it's helping bring more clarity in a way to where the possibilities are endless and we really don't know what's going on. But the more we test, the more we open our mind, and the more we try and understand these things, we may get closer to why are these things more, integrated than we realize.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, that's been the fascinating part of the journey of watching Haunted Discoveries as it's progressed. And and being fortunate enough to talk to you, outside of the show about some of the things that you're experiencing throughout the show. I just see where this is exactly what you talked about, hoping would happen. How you'd find these connections and be able to connect the dots. And I don't know. I just think it's I think Haunted Discoveries is something that anyone who has the slightest interest in the paranormal, even especially if you're a skeptic, but you're curious, you need to check out Haunted Discoveries, because you'll see how paranormal investigations are really done. It's not paranormal entertainment television.
Right.
It is paranormal investigation with a focus on history, science, and the real data collection that those of us who are serious about the paranormal and
we're not trying
bringing
to get
it out of
clicks.
the shadows. Yeah, who aren't just looking for clicks. This is how we all really try to do things, and it's fascinating. And I mean, I don't know. I can't give you enough kudos on how the show is done, and how I mean, you being the editor. I mean, it's just all been
I have
great.
to say that Brandon is one of the hardest working people I've seen, because every time we're trying to get him out here all the time. Come to the fort, come visit us. He's like,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm editing.
Yeah, he
I'm
lives a
editing."
half hour from us, and we can't get him down here most of the time. But
Damien wants to know if there's a location that you feel your investigation wasn't to high standards that you want to go back to.
Ooh, I would like to go back to any of them, honestly, because I think that the repeatability is what we're looking for, and the more we can go back to a place, the better it is. That exactly, we'll be back for sure. But that's a part of this process, and especially what we do with APRA. Yeah, exactly. Jailers and Old Stone, all of them. I mean, serious.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it's about. Is not going to a location one time, be like, all right, we got it, see ya. No, it's about understanding what's taking place, especially like with your guys' house and the Ditto House Inn. I want to go back and see if we could replicate those results that we got last time. And I think we will, honestly, because we've been doing this long enough now, and we kind of have the data set in a place where we understand when something's happening that we can't explain, there's very specific things that take place.
Yeah.
And the more we can go and document that and put that into the data set, that's what we're looking to do. So, and for instance, like we also did Bobby Mackey's. We very few on Waverly Hills. Bobby Mackey's probably the two that are the most known in the paranormal world. And we, being that we're doing a show out here in Kentucky, we had to do both, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we, that episode just aired on Saturday, and I got so many messages from people just saying, thank you for telling the truth about Bobby Mackey's, right? We were talking about earlier paranormal entertainment or the clicks and all that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of people that would be like, oh, well, Bobby said in the interview with you guys that he doesn't think that the place is haunted or a portal. It's like, yeah, Bobby has said that in every other show. They just don't edit it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the real deal, that's for sure. Because if you think something isn't, I mean, if you don't think something is what the people think it is, you will tell them. Like, you don't try to do it for the entertainment value of just,
Right.
I mean, like, watch this.
And getting back to, I think Bobby was very appreciative of the fact that you guys left that in there.
Yeah.
And you guys actually did the historical research on all of the claims and all of the stories over the years. And you were able to provide the proof that some of this stuff is not how it's been played out to be.
No, exactly. And not only with Bobby, it was just, for me, meeting Bobby Mackey was incredible experience, not because of the paranormal sin, but I grew up in Bakersfield, California. I used to work for the country music legend Buck Owens. I used to work in the country music business. So to meet Bobby Mackey for me was an awesome thing, because this guy's a living, breathing country music icon. And that's what Bobby Mackey's is supposed to be. And all of a sudden, not to name names, but people have gone in and they related the Pearl Bryan story to Bobby's, which has no connection in any way, shape, or form. There is no connection to the property of Bobby Mackey's, to the murder of Pearl Bryan. There was never a slaughterhouse on that site. There was not a well where they threw her head down. None of that stuff happened. Bobby knows that. Gatekeeper Paranormal, who used to do the tours there, know that. And they were very appreciative that they were able to get that story out on Haunted Discoveries before it being torn down. So it was kind of like setting the record straight in a lot of ways before it's going to make this transformation into what it's supposed to be. And that place is supposed to be a love for Bobby Mackey and a love for country music. And I believe that over the years, certain investigators and all the things that have happened over the years have created Bobby Mackey's to be a monster hiding under the bed. In reality, it is not. And I think in a lot of ways, there is things happening there. We did have experiences. We did record things and document data, but I think people have created a monster out of something that is supposed to be the complete opposite. And I was just very happy to be able to do that. I was very happy to be part of it. And I hope that Bobby and Gatekeeper Paranormal and everyone else is happy with how it turned out, because we told the truth. We unveiled the information that the people at Gatekeeper Paranormal knew, that well that's on the site was a distillery. And that well was used to get water from the Licking River to distill liquor, had nothing to do with the slaughterhouse, had nothing to do with Pearl Bryan, and has nothing to do with Johanna, any of that stuff. It's completely not what it's made out to be. And you can go through pages upon pages of YouTube videos full of complete shit. And it's you know what I mean? And just and not to go after anybody, because there's no right or wrong way to do this, as we know. There's no this is the definitive way, this isn't the definitive way. But one thing that there is and there should be is ethics. And the number one ethical thing you need to do is tell the damn truth. And that's important.
You know, we're all about the truth. That's the one thing that's kept us where we're at, is we fight for the truth. That's how we ended up in the middle of a Save Waverly Hills battle. That's a whole different story, which that's getting ready to come out on season 3, airing Saturday the
17th. And you guys are on the episode, and it was the first episode where Tina and Charlie got back into the building, and it was an interesting test to be able to see what that return was like. And it's a unique story on Waverly, you know, because I mean, as you guys know, you were there for so many years. You guys have a deep, fond love for that place. You could sit there and talk about all those stories until you're blue in the face, right? Mm-hmm. People know those stories. It's been done. It's been talked about. Waverly Hills has been on paranormal television since the start of paranormal television.
Exactly. Waverly Hills made paranormal television, to be honest.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. If it wasn't for Waverly Hills, sci-fi wouldn't have got the ratings they did. But for us, it was more important to talk about what that place means to people like you guys, like Tina and Charlie, and everyone that poured everything they had into it. So you guys are a part of the fabric of that building. You guys are part of that history of that building. And we felt that was the important angle to take in that investigation. And it provided to be fruitful in a big way.
Yeah.
I just got to go back and address Heather Swain said you've helped Bobby have his mic drop moment for right before he closed.
I hope so. You know, and I edit the show. I run the show, and we sat down with Bobby before any cameras rolled, and we wanted, with Bobby and his manager, and first and foremost, again, talking about Buck Owens and my history of working in country music. Buck Owens is one of Bobby's biggest influences.
Really?
So him and I sat there and talked for an hour about Buck Owens and about the Bakersfield sound, where I'm from, and all that. And I wanted him to know that we are here to tell the story of Bobby and to tell the story of what actually happened in this building. We're not going to make this some crazy spooky show that has happened time and time again. And I hope he's seen it, because we fulfilled that promise to him, I believe. So I hope he's happy with it, because Bobby is an amazing man. The guy's a living, breathing icon. It's weird to know that more people know Bobby Mackey for the paranormal than they do for the country music legend that he is. And he's just a phenomenal guy. I love him.
I need to go back and put another comment up here, since we know that, you know, Brandon's all about Buck Owens and Bobby Mackey's. Ernie sold 3,000 CDs.
Yeah, it went triple plastic.
Wow, out of the back of the trunk, huh?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
That's right. Singer-songwriter. Thank you very much.
Love it.
Can't play a lick of guitar or anything.
He had to actually, and this is a whole other story. He had to actually talk to Bocephus himself to get the rights to be able to record the song.
because I
Really?
stole his song, basically. But anyway,
Is this bullshit or are we serious?
Real. He
Come by the
performed-
house and we'll play the CD for
He
you.
performed this in front of B.B. King, Justin Timberlake, and Britney Spears on Beale Street in Memphis.
No.
You got to hear it. We got the CD here,
How
actually.
do I not know this about you, Ernie? What the
There is
hell,
so
man?
much stuff
I'm
you
like
don't
Forrest
know,
Gump,
Brandon.
dude.
I love it. I love it.
But anyway, how much time we got here? I wanna
About
give Brandon-
4 minutes.
All right, Brandon. I know you do have this event coming up at the Jailer's Inn. You guys are getting back into filming. Tell us what you got going on. Do you have any other events or
And
appearances or anything coming up?
Rob wants us to get Brandon to the soiree, but that's October 26th. You are going to be in the middle of filming and everything, aren't you, at that time?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm booked out for the year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no, we have season 3 is airing here in the States. August 17th. That's this Saturday. I can't remember the time right now. I'm sorry, but I think it's 7 o'clock. I'll post it on socials. You'll see it. The big epic season premiere at Waverly Hills. It'll also have another episode directly after it. Rosemont in Tennessee, great place, phenomenal location. Another instance where we brought in a living descendant of the family, and it's going to be great. I'm excited. And then all new episodes of Haunted Discovery season 3 will be happening every Saturday, and insane locations on this 3rd season. We got incredible places. Whitehall, like we talked about earlier, the home of Cassius Clay. We go down in Eastern Kentucky and go into a coal mine, Portal 31. We actually bring back Billy Wilkerson, from Old Stone, Simpson County Historical Society, and we make a discovery that changes the entire history of Lynch, Kentucky. And actually, it's something that is so profound in the history of Lynch that the work Billy did and us going out there is going to be memorialized because of what we found. And that's important to us. So it's going to be great. So season 3, August 17th, every Saturday, new episodes. We're going to start airing in 75 other countries in October. We're going to be in France and all over the place. So it's starting to pick up.
Kevin told him he was big in Japan, so he got his.
Yes,
go
it is.
I don't even know that it's airing in Japan, but that's just something Kevin said. But
Kevin would know.
But no, I mean, I like Rob says, congratulations, man. I mean, you guys have, I mean, you and Mustafa. It was the G&A. Is that what A&G or G&A? What is it?
A&G Creative, Alvis and Ganalari Creative.
A&G Creative. I didn't want to diss whoever was supposed to be first there, but A&G Creative. You guys came up with the concept and everything, and then went with Kevin and got it all put together and had Malia on the team. Now you got Craig, and it's
We love
just,
all you guys.
yeah, the whole team. And I'll tell anybody that's watching, anybody over in the chat, anybody that sees this later on, this bunch, the entire crew, I mean, down to the sound people and the people that run and get snacks, whatever, they are just good people. They're honest people. We had, 20 people or more in and out of our house for 4 days back in April, and you
couldn't
never
tell
would have known
anybody
they'd
was
been
here
here.
except that piece of tape
I
he
did
found.
find a piece of tape rolled up in the kitchen floor that I'm still mad about. But no. I mean,
It was
they're just
spotless
amazing
when they
people.
left.
They're all a lot of fun to work with. They're good people. And the show, if you have not seen Haunted Discoveries, find it. Tubi, Sling TV, Haunt TV, Roku.
A is before G in the alphabet, Ernie.
Jana Costa is kind of a smart aleck. But, but
We
I mean,
framed the tape.
yeah. No, I mean, find Haunted Discoveries, however you got to do it. You can find episodes on haunteddiscoveries.com, right?
Yeah, and it's 100% free. That's the beautiful thing about all this.
Plain TV.
No credit cards, nothing. You can watch this show 100% for free, and that's important to us because, you know, we have stepped out of the box of paranormal television, and we have trailblazed our own way. You know,
Yeah.
as out here in Kentucky, we call it a buffalo trace, right? That's what we're doing.
Exactly. But anyway, find the Flumery Promotions event with the entire cast of Haunted Discoveries at the Jailer's Inn in Bardstown, Kentucky. We've been to the Jailer's
November
Inn
1st and 2nd.
November 1st and 2nd. There you go. And the Jailer's Inn is a great location, and if you get to experience that's right, you get to experience the Jailer's Inn with Brandon, Kevin, Mustafa, and Craig. I mean, that's amazing. That's an amazing opportunity. So I encourage everybody to look into that too. But we've got to get off here because Russ Stiver is coming on. Russ and Jenny are coming on with, I forget who they got on tonight.
I know it's unturned pages, but I'm not sure what their guest, who their guest is tonight.
Anyway, Brandon, love you, brother. We appreciate you tuning in or coming on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
thanks for tuning in and watching me talk, Brandon.
that's right. I love it. I'd be here either way. So no, but thanks for having me on, guys. Seriously, it's always a pleasure to work with you guys, and you guys are some of my favorite people in the paranormal, and it's been a blast. And I can't wait for people to see the West Point episodes of the Ditto House Inn and what we got out there. Huge historical moment in the paranormal. Literally, no one's done what we did out there before, and it was great to be with you guys during that event.
Oh, y'all know you're welcome here anytime, even if you're not filming. Come on down.
Just come on by. Anytime you're passing this way, come on by. But folks, everybody that joined in tonight, thank you for tuning in. That's who I was.
We don't know why y'all keep coming back, but thanks for being here.
It's me.
Yeah, sure it is.
But anyway, we'll be back next week. We'll have a guest that'll be lame compared to Brandon. It'll probably be somebody like Rob Stackowicz or something. But anyway, you guys have a good night. Be good to one another. We love y'all. Thanks a lot, and good night. And we're still here because I haven't hit the end stream button.